What if I told you that one of the most celebrated superfoods in America can quietly work against your body after age 60 without causing pain, without sending warning signals, and without you ever realizing it's happening? Blueberries are praised as a miracle food for the brain, the heart, and aging itself. Doctors recommend them. Nutrition labels highlight them. Health magazines glorify them. But the human body does not respond to food based on reputation. It responds based on chemistry, timing, and biological context. And that context changes dramatically after 60. As we age, our bodies undergo a series of invisible shifts that most people are never educated about. Stomach acid production declines year after year, making digestion less efficient. Key digestive enzymes are produced in smaller amounts. The gut lining becomes more fragile. The liver's detoxification pathways slow down. Blood sugar regulation becomes less stable, even in people who have never had diabetes. At the same time, the immune system enters a constant state of low-grade inflammation, often called inflammaging. None of this happens overnight. It unfolds gradually, quietly, and predictably. Blueberries are not passive passengers in this system. They are chemically active. They contain powerful compounds, anthocyanins and polyphenols, that interact directly with enzymes, minerals, proteins, gut bacteria, and blood sugar pathways. In a younger body, these interactions often result in protection and repair. In an older body, the same interactions can shift direction depending on what else is present in the digestive environment. This is the part that almost no one talks about. Food does not act alone, it reacts. And after 60, those reactions can change in ways that turn healthy habits into metabolic stressors. Most seniors believe that if something is natural, it must be safe in any form, but nature doesn't guarantee compatibility. Inside the body, foods compete, bind, block, amplify, or cancel each other out. Blueberries are especially sensitive because their benefits depend on absorption. If their compounds are blocked, altered, or neutralized, the promised protection never reaches your cells. After 60, the gut absorbs nutrients less efficiently. This means that anything interfering with absorption has a much bigger impact than it would have decades earlier. Blueberry antioxidants are fragile. They need the right conditions to pass through the intestinal wall and reach the bloodstream. When those conditions aren't met, the compounds either pass through unused or are broken down into less helpful forms. This creates a dangerous illusion. You believe you're protecting your brain, your heart, your blood vessels, but biologically, your body may not be receiving those benefits at all. Worse, the wrong combinations can create metabolic confusion, signals that increase inflammation or stress instead of reducing it. Blood sugar plays a critical role here. Blueberries contain natural sugars, but on their own, they are generally well tolerated. However, after 60, glucose handling slows down. The pancreas responds more cautiously. Insulin sensitivity declines. Even moderate sugar loads can cause higher and longer-lasting spikes in blood sugar. When blueberries are introduced into an already stressed metabolic environment, they can contribute to glucose fluctuations that damage blood vessels and accelerate cognitive decline over time. This damage does not announce itself. There is no immediate discomfort, no sharp pain, no obvious reaction. The body compensates until it can't. And when symptoms finally appear, they're labeled as normal aging, memory lapses, low energy, stiffness, brain fog, digestive discomfort, poor sleep. Another critical factor is the liver. The liver is responsible for processing both nutrients and toxins. With age, its capacity becomes more limited. When blueberries are consumed in contexts that demand heavy detoxification, such as alongside processed foods, additives, or excess sugar, the liver prioritizes survival over optimization. Instead of activating the protective pathways of blueberry compounds, it shifts resources toward neutralizing stressors. In that state, antioxidants don't behave as expected. In some environments, they can even flip roles and act as pro-oxidants, contributing to cellular stress instead of preventing it. This doesn't happen because blueberries are bad. It happens because the internal environment has changed. The microbiome also changes dramatically after 60. Beneficial bacteria decline. Diversity decreases. The gut becomes more susceptible to inflammation and permeability. Blueberries interact directly with gut bacteria. In a healthy microbiome, this interaction is beneficial. In a disrupted one, it can lead to improper fermentation, gas, bloating, and immune activation. This is why many seniors feel digestive discomfort after meals they consider healthy. It's not imagination, it's biology. The same food that once felt energizing can start feeling heavy, irritating, or draining. There is also the issue of cumulative exposure. These effects are not dramatic in isolation. One meal won't cause harm. The problem is repetition, day after day, year after year. The same combinations, the same routines, the same assumptions. Over time, low-grade inflammation becomes chronic. Blood vessels lose flexibility. The brain receives less efficient circulation. The gut remains in a state of irritation. And because the decline is slow, it's blamed on age instead of diet. People say, this is just what happens in your 60s. But biology doesn't work that way. Aging is inevitable. Accelerated aging is not. The biggest mistake seniors make is thinking nutrition is about individual foods rather than interactions. After 60, the body becomes highly sensitive to synergy and conflict. Two healthy foods together can be neutral or harmful, depending on the internal environment. Blueberries are a perfect example of this paradox. They are powerful enough to heal, but also powerful enough to disrupt balance when used incorrectly. Their compounds don't just nourish, they signal. They communicate with your cells. And if that message is distorted by poor combinations, the body responds in ways you don't expect. This is why seniors often feel like they are doing everything right, but not seeing results. They eat fruits, they avoid junk food, they follow general advice, but general advice is not precision medicine, and after 60, precision matters. The body becomes less forgiving. It demands clarity. It demands harmony. It demands that food work with it, not against it. And when that harmony is disrupted, even the most celebrated superfoods can quietly contribute to the very problems they were meant to prevent. The first combination that deserves serious attention is blueberries with processed dairy, because it feels harmless and familiar, especially for older Americans who grew up believing milk and fruit were the foundation of health. Yogurt with blueberries, milk blended into smoothies, low-fat dairy bowls advertised as heart-smart options all seem safe. But inside an aging body, this pairing can quietly erase the very benefits people are trying to gain. The proteins found in most dairy products, especially casein, have a strong binding affinity to the polyphenols in blueberries. When these compounds bind together, the antioxidants are no longer free to be absorbed through the intestinal wall. They move through the digestive tract without reaching the bloodstream, the brain, or the blood vessels. After age 60, stomach acid levels are typically much lower than they were earlier in life. This means proteins are broken down more slowly and less completely. When dairy proteins remain intact longer, they interfere even more with nutrient absorption. Calcium adds another layer to this problem by forming complexes that further trap blueberry antioxidants. Instead of supporting circulation and brain health, the fruit becomes nutritionally muted. The person eats blueberries faithfully, but receives little of the cellular protection they were promised. Many processed dairy products also contain added sugars, emulsifiers, and stabilizers. These compounds irritate the gut lining and promote inflammation, especially in older adults whose intestinal barrier is already more fragile. Inflammation in the gut directly reduces nutrient uptake. Over time, this can lead to bloating, heaviness after meals, and a low-grade inflammatory state that never fully resolves. What feels like minor digestive discomfort becomes a chronic biological stressor that affects energy levels, immune balance, and mental clarity. The second combination is far more dangerous because it actively pushes the body in the opposite direction of health. Blueberries with added sugars. This includes syrups, sweetened cereals, granola bars, dessert sauces, flavored yogurts, pastries, and many so-called natural sweeteners commonly used in American kitchens. Sugar overwhelms the metabolic system after 60. Even people with normal blood work often have reduced insulin sensitivity without knowing it. When sugar enters the bloodstream, glucose levels rise higher and stay elevated longer than they would have years earlier. Blueberries are often marketed as blood sugar friendly, and on their own, they usually are. But when combined with refined or concentrated sugars, the metabolic response changes completely. The pancreas must release more insulin to manage the spike. Blood vessels experience oxidative stress. The endothelium, the delicate inner lining of arteries, becomes damaged. This damage accumulates slowly and silently, contributing to cardiovascular disease and reduced blood flow to the brain. Sugar also interferes with antioxidant signaling. High glucose environments suppress the body's ability to activate protective pathways. In simple terms, sugar turns down the volume on the very compounds that make blueberries valuable. Instead of reducing inflammation, the combination fuels it. Instead of supporting cognitive health, it accelerates processes linked to memory decline. Seniors often wonder why they eat fruit yet still feel foggy or tired, unaware that sugar is canceling out the benefits at a cellular level. This pattern is extremely common in breakfast foods across the United States. Sweetened cereals with fruit, muffins with blueberry flavoring, oatmeal topped with syrup and berries, smoothies blended with juice concentrates. These meals look healthy, but metabolically they behave like desserts. Repeating this pattern day after day trains the body into a cycle of blood sugar instability. Energy rises briefly, then crashes. Hunger returns quickly. Cravings increase. Inflammation quietly becomes the new normal. The third combination is the most overlooked because it hides behind marketing language. Blueberries with ultra-processed foods, white bread, boxed cereals, low-fat crackers, snack bars, protein cookies, and heart-healthy packaged products are staples in many senior households. These foods are engineered for shelf life and taste, not biological compatibility. They digest rapidly, spike insulin, and disrupt gut bacteria. When blueberries enter this environment, their interaction with the gut changes dramatically. The microbiome plays a central role in how blueberry compounds are processed. In a balanced gut, beneficial bacteria help convert polyphenols into active metabolites that protect blood vessels and the brain. In a disrupted gut, those same compounds may ferment improperly, producing gas, discomfort, and inflammatory byproducts. After 60, microbiome diversity declines naturally. Ultra-processed foods accelerate that decline by feeding harmful bacteria and starving beneficial strains. This creates a hostile environment for nutrient absorption. The intestinal lining becomes more permeable, allowing inflammatory compounds to leak into circulation. The immune system remains constantly activated. Blueberries, instead of calming inflammation, are caught in the middle of a digestive system already under stress. Their benefits are reduced, distorted, or lost entirely. There is also a heavy burden placed on the liver when ultra-processed foods are involved. Additives, preservatives, oxidized oils, and artificial flavorings all require detoxification. The liver must prioritize clearing these compounds before it can process beneficial nutrients. In older adults, liver efficiency is reduced. When blueberries are consumed alongside these stressors, their protective compounds are delayed or diverted. The body focuses on damage control rather than optimization. This doesn't cause immediate illness. That is what makes it dangerous. The body adapts. It compensates. It keeps functioning while inflammation builds quietly in the background. Seniors often accept joint stiffness, fatigue, digestive discomfort, and memory lapses as unavoidable signs of aging. But these symptoms are often signals of metabolic overload, not age itself. Another issue is frequency. One unhealthy meal does not create disease. Repetition does. When these combinations become daily habits, the body is never given a chance to reset. Inflammation becomes chronic. Blood sugar remains unstable. Gut health deteriorates. Circulation becomes less efficient. The brain receives fewer nutrients and less oxygen. Over years, this contributes to accelerated aging at the cellular level. What makes this especially concerning is that many seniors believe they are doing everything right. They choose fruit instead of candy, yogurt instead of ice cream, cereal instead of bacon. The intent is good, but intent does not override biology. The aging body requires precision. It responds not just to what is eaten, but to how foods interact once inside. Blueberries are powerful chemical messengers. They influence gene expression, blood vessel function, immune signaling, and brain communication. But power cuts both ways. In the wrong context, that power is wasted or misdirected. The body becomes confused, receiving mixed signals that disrupt balance rather than restore it. This is why nutrition advice that worked in midlife often fails later on. The internal environment has changed. The same combinations no longer produce the same outcomes. Seniors need strategies that respect how aging alters digestion, metabolism, and cellular repair. When people understand that blueberries are not automatically protective, that they require the right partners to function properly, they begin to see food differently. Nutrition becomes less about following rules and more about supporting biological harmony. The body stops fighting itself, energy stabilizes, digestion calms, inflammation eases, clarity returns, and what once felt like inevitable decline begins to reveal itself as a series of correctable signals the body has been sending all along. Blueberries are a perfect example of this paradox. They are powerful enough to heal, but also powerful enough to disrupt balance when used incorrectly. Their compounds don't just nourish, they signal. They communicate with your cells. And if that message is distorted by poor combinations, the body responds in ways you don't expect. This is why seniors often feel like they are doing everything right, but not seeing results. They eat fruits, they avoid junk food, they follow general advice, but general advice is not precision medicine. And after 60, precision matters. The body becomes less forgiving. It demands clarity. It demands harmony. It demands that food work with it, not against it. And when that harmony is disrupted, even the most celebrated superfoods can quietly contribute to the very problems they were meant to prevent.